Good morning, Sonia.
Good morning, Rasheed.
How are you?
Not bad, thank you.
All right. You should say good, but it's okay. So it's 2025, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have many millionaires that they want to colonize Mars and send people there.
I don't know if many, but one for sure.
Yeah, he's doing Elon Musk, and there are others also. Jeff Bezos, he started to get into there, and you can rent it to go just up there and pay I don't know how many millions. While we have 295 million people with food insecurity. They don't know. Imagine 295. That's 2/3 of American population, or maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so imagine that people don't know if they're gonna have their next meal or where is it gonna come from. And the main causes for this mostly is war, Sudan and Gaza, and conflicts all over the world. 140 million people in conflicts. And imagine in Gaza is 1.1 million at famine level.
Mm-hmm.
So this is famine. Like it's not like, hey, no, there is no food. And even though there is food outside, it's just not getting in. So that's just Sudan, 24 million.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, always, my friend is in France and his family is there. So he tells me all the time, they don't know if there is food or not. So you're just living, not day by day, meal by meal.
So in France?
He's in France, but his family in Sudan. Okay. So all of them. And they had to relocate to the north of Sudan to get some food. And not only that. And so children, 38 million from these 295, 38 million malnourished kids. And this is actually the 6th year on a row that's happening. So we're going for a Guinness record here, and it's 20 countries, 14 million people increase from last year.
Yeah.
So it's not just, it's the same. No, it's getting worse. And the World Food Program, WFP, estimated a need of 16.9 billion for 2025 to feed people, to assist 123 million people, and more and more and more. Also, climate extremes, like we talked about in the Africa episode.
Yeah.
So many people, droughts, floods, so many. And there is the El Nino conditions.
Yeah,
I didn't get it good, but it's affecting a lot of people. Economic shocks. For example, Afghanistan, even though it's not like a war, but changing the government. South Sudan, there is no war, but also economic crisis. Syria, even though just inside. Yemen also. So a lot of things are happening with food.
It's absolutely terrifying. So we all see the pictures from Gaza, and we're talking about starvation being basically the whole community, including young children, being on a verge of starvation. And we just repeated our episode on Gaza, and we will do more about this because this is probably the most severe humanitarian crisis that is out there. But the important thing also here is to say that this situation is also linked, the horrible situation and the food shortages is also linked to the shortages in financing of humanitarian situation. Yeah. So we constantly talk about USAID, that USAID has been cut, and this was one of the largest donors, but other countries also cut their support. And now, as an outcome of this, we have food being basically rotten in some magazines, warehouses around the world. And it's like, yes, there's I think one really gigantic one in US, but there are also some in the States. And it's not only a matter of, yes, those things like will expire soon, apparently most of them in June, July. And those are tons of food. We're not talking about one shipment or something. Tons of food that is it will be expired very soon. And there are even warehouses in Sudan. You could just distribute this food that will expire in 1 month, but because of the cuts in USAID, you have no people to do it. It's just there in those warehouses, and people are, outside, knowing or not knowing that the food is there, but there's nobody. Everybody has been fired from those programs, so there's nobody to really do the work, and you cannot just open it and it's like leave it to people to take it or do anything about this. It's frightening what is happening actually in this area right now, because nobody, when they introduced those Dodge cuts, and nobody really thought about global consequences. It's not about having an efficient government, at least not, this is not the main thing. Your actions with cutting those spendings have impact on like people's life. It's a matter of life and death at the moment, whether people will have their next meal or not. And it's not a joke. And I really hate when people are selling it as either or, like, oh no, either we have an efficient government and we're not overspending, or we're sending all this money abroad, and what's the interest for us there? Peace and global safety is everybody's interest. And for God's sake, seriously, when you're governing millions of dollars, and like, how can you really not see this impact? How is this not on your brain that everything is connected? We're talking about highly educated people who have been working in this area for years, decades, and I just cannot believe that it was not stopped, that nobody found a way to stop it. And I know that officially right now USAID is suspended and under review. And who knows, with Donald Trump being constantly unpredictable, maybe it's going to come back. Hard to say, but it's extremely, extremely terrifying and frightening, especially that, situation in Sudan, for example, it's not much in the news. Gaza is, but other areas, Yemen, and it's not.
But I think they're trying to convince the American people that, hey, we are doing this for you. Your money is not going to go to waste, while not taxing billionaires, while letting billionaires play around, go wherever they want. He can go into the White House. He can go to the backyard. He can do whatever. He can open doors. He can cut things.
But your money, your tax money is actually being wasted, rotting and expiring in those warehouses with tons of food that were supposed to be sent to people who really, really need this.
I don't think anybody from the past would think that, we're going to have so much food, but the issue, because they would think that we're not going to have enough food, so that's why people will be hungry. No, we have, but people don't want to give it. Yeah. So that's like psychologically worse.
It was always this discussion that food is not being equally distributed. There is enough food for everybody. So if you see starving children in Africa, it's a matter of bad distribution. Now it's a matter of blocking. It's not only the fact that there is food, we just it's hard to, if you do not eat something and how you're going to send it from Europe, right, somewhere to Sudan. But it's now a matter of really politically blocking food, getting to people who are in desperate need of food. So that's such a, that's something that us as individuals, as advocates, we have so little impact on right now. Yeah. We're talking about people on highest decisive level. And the only thing we can do basically is remind people and inform them that there are tons of food rotten in the big warehouse just because USAID is not functioning at the moment.
And just the way to just understand a little bit how people in Gaza are feeling now. Imagine you're inside this prison, open-air prison, and the food is outside. It's like the closest thing is, maybe Ramadan, people who do Ramadan, there is food there, but you cannot eat. And that feeling, or even when you're busy, you don't have time to eat, and you know that there is food. Imagine that 1,000,000 times worse, because it's just there, and there is no explanation why you're not getting it. No explanation.
Nothing.
All right.
Well, moving to the second topic that is very much linked, because it is also about the impact of the cuts on aid as such. So you know how United Nations, they always have those graphs when they are showing what are the needs this year for humanitarian aid, for different development projects. And so they estimated that this year they need almost $45 billion for humanitarian aid. And they always show in those graphs how much they have already collected. And this year, and it's already like 5 months into the year, they collected 7% of what they need. So we know that there are like massive layoffs in different organizations, and United Nations is not an exception. But the thing that we would like to talk about today specifically is a report that was just presented by UN Women. And they did a research on 411 women-led and women's rights organizations across 44 crisis contexts. So they researched organizations in Yemen, in Sudan, in Colombia, but also Ukraine.
The one they help explicitly women.
Yes. So specifically women, right? Women-led and also for women. And they actually found out that out of all of those organizations, almost half, because 47% expects to shut down within 6 months. We were talking about half of the organizations that support women in crisis conflicts. We're not talking about, advocacy for women's rights, breaking the glass ceiling in the UK, for example, right? We're talking about crisis situations. And it's terrible because it's 47% of them saying that most probably, if nothing changes, they will shut down within 6 months. 35% of them says that it's very uncertain, so they cannot say if they will or will not. And basically only 18%, said that they anticipate to stay open for a year. That for sure. So 18% is like, okay.
So that's the best deal. You have 1 year.
Yes.
Wow.
But already, even though they still exist, they almost 3/4 of them, exactly 72%, reported that they already had to lay off their staff. Right, 72% of all those women helping organizations in crisis situations. And UN Women, they checked what kind of programming and sectors have been affected the most. And it's predominantly the gender-based violence programs. So like 67% of them have been severely affected. Then protection, then livelihood and cash distribution purposes, and then mental and sexual health. So something that is so crucial for women in crisis situation. I don't even know, when I saw it, I was like, half of them.
Yeah.
We see what is going on here, and being honest, like from all our partners organizations, I know 2 that have are relatively okay and have not been affected much. Almost everybody has problems, issues, switching into complete volunteer mood, not having money to pay for basic things. But when I saw this, that it's a crisis situation, and half of those organizations may shut down within 6 months, the number's crazy.
Yeah, like what does this say to the future women, to the girls now that you grow up and you're gonna get abused, no funds? And now who's gonna help women in Gaza that lost kids, parents, and they have to rebuild? Who's gonna help women in Sudan who got raped and they did horrible stuff to them? They need doctors, they need therapists. Who's gonna help women in Afghanistan that now they are more restricted? They are in prison, inside of prison. So when they hear this news, what's the picture in their mind is like, there's no hope. Why am I living now?
Yeah. And you know what, I was thinking about it from also another perspective. So we usually report on things that impact people on the move or force them to move, right? And I was thinking, like, in how many cases having those humanitarian organizations there on the spot in those conflict situations still stops people from migrating, knowing that, okay, there is some kind of support, that they will get some aid, they will be able to feed their children, and just wait, maybe the conflict ends, something changes. And now with so many of those organizations shutting down, this will cause really another I don't want to say wave, because this is, I'm very much against using those scaring words, but people will migrate just because they do not have anything to support themselves.
That's a normal thing. You go to where you find better life. That's just normal. But they want to block it from both ways. You are not coming here, but also you're not going to live there in peace.
It was a bit also said to me that like when I read what kind of impact those organizations had, for example. So they started by reducing the programs and reducing the number of staff. Normal thing to do, right? But many of them, they said like, okay, we have like cash flow issues, right? We just okay, maybe we have some promises of getting some grants, but it's not coming. But also, they are unable to fulfill their contracts, right? So very frequently they have people who deliver some services or something like medical equipment, and they were unable to really pay those organizations. And this impacts everybody one by one. Everybody's impacted by those massive cuts.
I mean, you can have volunteers, but you cannot sustain. You cannot have people who just volunteer. There's no way.
Absolutely.
You need people there all the time because the things are not stopping. The issue is we have no pause now. Yeah. It's not like, okay, we fixed here, let's go to the next country. No, it's at the same time, boom, 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 boom. Ukraine, Gaza, Sudan, whatever. It's just all over the place. I just read also the Netherlands announced a 2.4 billion cut by 2027 with significant reduction in gender equality and education projects. Germany, Italy, Sweden are going to do the same. Mm-hmm. So it's not only the US, so they are seeing it as an example. Oh, wow, the US did this, let's all do that.
Yeah.
Gender equality, like really women have been fighting for this for so many years, and now you just, with a sign, I'm going to sign this and that's it. You get no funds. Wow.
Well, you know what Donald Trump thinks about gender equality and general equality in the society.
Wow.
And it's just like, if he doesn't, if the most powerful country in the world shows like the opposite direction and shows that it's possible and just doesn't give a fuck about the consequences, so like everybody will follow.
Yeah. We're going backwards. I just see this just backwards, and it's so scary, and it seems like people are not noticing it. Like, hey, it's like there's an earthquake, and you're the only one that's feeling it, and you see like the thing, like, hey guys, there's an earthquake, and people are like, no, it's okay. Europe is like, no, it's okay. Trump is like, yeah, we're gonna be the best. He just announced the US gonna be the greatest by 2026. Oh, of course, yeah, the greatest.
By half a year. Like,
wow,
awesome. Just to finish this matter, because quoting somebody from UN Women, like saying exactly to what you just said, that we're going backwards, that it's not only a matter of equality and rights, but it's also a strategic imperative. Like, what are we really doing with this aid, and how this is going? It's multi-layer, right?
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Another topic.
Talking about people leaving for these reasons. Senegal. Mm-hmm. They have agreements with Chinese companies and European companies, but their vessels are taking every last fish in the sea. Mm-hmm. They're leaving nothing to them. And people, when you hear like people leaving, they're like, oh wow, why they are leaving? For example, in 2023, 32,000 migrants landed in the Canary Islands. Most of them, 95%, were from Senegal. And they were like, why they are coming? Why? Most of them, they were fishermen. Yeah. There's a documentary, it's called Adrifted, something like that, about a guy. He talks about how all his life was in the sea, his father, grandfather, and then he said there is nothing. And sometimes they shoot at them. I know in Western Sahara, because there's a lot of fish there, the king of Morocco gave that region to one of the generals. So he will deal with it. And if you are just a local fisherman, you just go there. Even if you are fishing just there, they will shoot at you. There is nothing else. So it's going to get worse for Senegal. And so we said 30,000 people and more. Spanish authorities estimated another record number of 46,843 people arrived in the Canary Islands in the same year. And there is another Spanish NGO, Caminado Fronteras, counted more than 10,000 people who estimated dead.
In
this
the sea.
10,000 in this sea. So these
because
vessels...
Because it's an open ocean. Like, this is not just like Mediterranean. It's an open ocean, and you're on a dinghy.
These vessels... They get all the fish, but we have no survivors, no bodies of the people who died, 10,000. That's maybe even in a war, you don't lose 10,000. And what else? So the European Union announced a 30 million package to manage migration from Senegal. So we're not gonna help you. We're gonna, what is this package? It means we're gonna give the money to the mafia there to just kill you, and like they're doing in Libya. So many things. A report by the Environmental Justice Foundation highlights that 57% of Senegal's fish stocks are in collapse. 57, with 43 of licensed vessels belong foreign controlled. So 43 licensed, these vessels are not from there. And then the European Union, they said, we are not dealing with Senegal because it's illegal fishing.
Yeah.
You are doing it.
Yep.
China is doing it. So, it's okay. We don't need you. They're like, but they need our money, but we're going to cut it now. Yeah, okay. At least they're going to get some fish.
This was the ironic part in this article about this, that like European Union is saying like, we're not going to have another deal with you because you're not fighting the illegal overfishing.
Yeah, they call it the IUU, unreported and unregulated illegal.
Yeah. But those are Chinese and European countries, not only European Union, but some European countries. It's just like absolutely, okay, it's the government who's not fighting it enough, obviously. Corruption, other issues. But also, European Union is not putting the effort there. Like, okay, they're pushing it on the government. You have to do something about this. And then you're complaining that people are moving to Europe because they have no way of earning money, meaning no way of fishing because there's no fish.
Yeah, they're blaming them. But imagine, there is no person, like logical person, his plan A is fishing, plan B to leave. There's nothing else. Of course, because there is nothing else. That's why the plan B is to leave. And imagine someone knows that there are so many people dying there. Because it's not like from Turkey to Greece. You can see the island. No. That's like a 12-day maybe journey or more. And you lose so many people. There was the other one when there was like 300 and just 38 survived. Oh my God. How do you cope with that?
I remember a horrible story when this path opened, this route opened from usually Senegal to the Canary Islands, and people were saying that they've been told that by the smugglers that this is more or less 8 to 10 hour journey, and they were they were found by those big shipping boats after like 10-15 days in the sea, and absolutely exhausted, dehydrated, no food for several days because they took like several bottles of water and some snacks with them, right, just in case. It was absolutely horrible. Now I guess people know because of social media as well, but the situation is really dire in this region. I would like to recommend a film by our friend called Stolen Fish. It is not about the situation in Senegal, but in Gambia, because almost exactly the same is happening there. Chinese are the big problem in Gambia. They're just coming and they're overfishing everything. They even built some, factories to cut the small fish for like a fish food for the larger ones. Like you just like have your fish in tank. You just like feed them with other stuff. So they even build those factories there, but they do not really hire locals. They overfish. They do not respect any rules regarding how much you can really fish to not like stop the population of fish to grow, and it's absolutely horrible because this really forces people who lived off sea their whole life to now rethink and find new paths and what you're going to do if you've been fishing your whole life, your whole family has been fishing. You probably didn't get enough education to think about now rebranding, working in different areas, right? Migration is your solution here.
But not only also with the government, not only, bad governments, corrupt government, but China does this. She comes to you, African country, hey, I see that your roads are all messed up. Let me fix that for you. And they're like, but how are we going to pay? It's okay.
It's okay. We're going to figure this out.
And they're like, on top of that, we're going to build for you this bridge. It's amazing bridge. And then give me 40% of license and I will do whatever I do there.
Yeah.
You cannot ask questions and that's the deal. Yeah. Chinese are coming for us.
And we think you won a lottery. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, last topic is our beloved Greece. And so basically we knew it for a while. Okay, it's not like it's a new law. It just started to be executed. Namely, refugees who receive asylum in Greece they are supposed to leave whatever housing they got from the government. So if they live in a refugee camp, they are supposed to, after a week from the moment they receive the documents, leave the camp. If they got some kind of a shelter, housing, it's the same situation. They should just leave it. However, given the fact that there's almost no integration in the camp, okay, I should say no integration in the camp, in camps, they basically don't really know what to do, where to go. There's no support. There's now Helios restarts their operations, but for a very long time there was nothing. They had like no institution to go to ask for help or even information what they're supposed to do. So you get your documents within a week, bam, you're out of your shelter or camp, and you have to provide for yourself, for your family. So this always has been a problem, and as an outcome of this, many refugees and families decided to stay in the camp longer than they were supposed to. And everybody was always turning a blind eye on that. Okay, people were like, in theory, this container or this tent should be free, but we know somebody's living there.
They had nowhere to go.
Yes, because there's really nowhere to go.
It's not because they love it there.
Yes, it's not because everybody loves living in camps in Greece. But now, the Ministry of Migration said that they're going to execute this law, and they said this information to send this information to all the camp managements and shelter managements that from now on they have 7 days to basically evict those people. And I even heard a comment by one of the camp managers. I'm not going to say it just in case I do not cause him any additional troubles. He was saying that this is absurd because for him, this has not been a big issue. This was a matter for people to organize themselves. Yes, there were people who stayed long because they really felt hopeless. Maybe there were some mental issues. They really didn't know what to do as the next step. But most of the people that overstayed, it was a matter of 2 weeks, maybe a month, just to figure out if they have any relatives, any friends of friends that could take them in for a few days, where they should actually apply for some services, or maybe just, to get their documents and leave, like get money to buy a ticket. So it was not a massive issue. But now the ministry says like, no, you get the documents within 7 days, you're out. So it has been criticized, not very publicly, but this is a political topic because everybody thinks like, oh no, we're not going to spend more money right now on feeding refugees in camps. The food rations were already cut for them, and European Union, of course, reminds everybody that according to the European Union law, only asylum seekers, not recognized refugees, and not rejected applicants are entitled to housing, food, and medical care from the EU funds. So if you spend anything on extra food packages for people who are either rejected or have already their documents, that's not what the funds should be spent on, right? And here's like, this is the gap, because you're causing another issue here. If you're going to kick people out, what are they going to do? They're going to stay on the streets. And there's already such a massive housing crisis in Athens, in Greece as such. Now Germany is sending people
deported,
exactly back from Germany to Greece, and they're just like, they end up here with no idea what they're supposed to do. Like what is their next step?
Maybe when they left from here, they had the chance to be in the camp. Maybe they were thinking, the worst thing in Greece, I'm gonna be in the camp.
Yeah, well, but now no,
not anymore.
No. So it's a really problematic situation. And one thing, if we're talking already about Greece, so far, all the actually asylum seekers were entitled to this very small amount of cash. Let's say it was this assistance was 75 euros per person. up to per month. It could go up to 210 euros per family. Like, so the top of the family of 4 and more. Like,
it was 500. It was 120 for a person, for an individual, 500 for a family.
It went down to 90 already when I started working in Greece. But then 75, and the top a family can get, it doesn't matter how many children or family members you have, it's 210. So, okay, you live in a camp and you're getting some kind of food, but we know what kind of food this is, right? And if you have children, they go to school. Usually there are some programs where you can get, I don't know, notebooks or something. But come on, it's not enough, especially if you have toddlers. You need some special formula for the kids. You need to feed them differently. So this is what is happening now. It has been suspended last year in April. They just restarted it. So they're paying people back. So slowly, whoever was registered as an asylum seeker, again, not a refugee, asylum seeker, will get the money back. But it's going to end in June. At the end of June will be the last payment. And after that, nothing. Like there is no contract for it, and at this moment there are no resources to give people this small amount of money. So if we're looking at the broader picture here, meaning the fact that you have to leave the camp within 7 days of receiving your papers, that you do not even have this small money that potentially, extremely hard, I don't know how, but like you may be saved to be able to pay for like 1 month rent until you figure this out. It's all connected. There are no solutions. There are no integration programs. Nothing's really working for refugees here. And every time I hear more of those stories, it's just like you're just creating issues also for yourselves. You, beautiful Greece, want to now be this country of homeless people. You're right. You attract tourists all the time, and they go to beautiful Santorini and Mykonos, but they also want to visit Athens, and they see what is happening. Homeless people are everywhere now.
But I don't know what is in their mind. Like they think that this is a solution when you have just people wandering around in the city, and because before they get their papers and they leave, they have a hope. Germany is going to take care of them. Now you know that Germany is sending you things. And if Germany is sending you people, they're sending you more money. But the Ministry of Greece, they said they're going to save 3.5 million. You cannot save the money that is not yours. Why are you saving? Like, they gave you the money to feed these people. Fucking feed them. Saving this money. 3.5.
It's not your money. It's like if you don't use it,
your money. I give your money, help that person. And you're getting paid to do that. So I don't know why. And they are saying it as if it's like a win. Saving. And another minister, he said, this move is part of a broader strategy to modernize and centralize refugee accommodations.
How? Like, tell me, how are you modernizing the
You're turning them into prisons, the one they are. So that's, oh my God.
Yeah, the ministry actually said that they're going to be much tougher on refugees right now. So whoever doesn't have documents is waiting or is in a strange gray area.
But just like, from point of view of a refugee, I know that it's not also good for someone to not get their papers. But when you get your paper, you see your destiny the same as someone who didn't. So it's the same thing. Take your paper or take a rejection, and then what? It's the same. It's all leading to the same. And everybody, what? Like, even me now, when I was thinking of my paper, I'm not going to get it. I was thinking of leaving because there is no other way. Because if I stay here and with no paper, you're going to be in prison because they just give you, so if you're rejected, they give you a paper to evict the country.
Yeah.
But if you, how? You don't have passport. And even if you have a passport, you go, you didn't come here with a visa, so you cannot go to another country. So just tell me how. And then if you go illegally, they put you in jail. So just tell me how. And on top of that, Greece said, we're saving money on that. Oh my God. Just want to punch them, these people.
Okay, I think this is a good moment to finish this, to make sure you do not punch anybody. Okay. And we mentioned it already before, but as part of the support for our citizen journalists, we are asking our viewers to donate as little as 1 cup of coffee for our citizen journalism project. So things like this podcast. If you have the possibility, and let's be honest, most people can donate like 4 or 5 euros. please do that. You will find a link in the description of this episode. See you in 1 week.